the mom called when she was 5 months pregnant, 3 days before our wedding at the officers club at the local Air Force base. We're 15, almost $20,000 into the wedding, just to tell me she's 5 months pregnant.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mel, and welcome to Life Coaching by Mel. Here at Life Coaching by Mel, what we do, we speak truth, and we speak truth not according to my truth or your truth, His truth. We declare the truth of the Word of God, the will of God, and the ways of God. And we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and also hit the like button. If you're watching this video, hit the comment section. Let me hear what you think about this topic. I want to hear from you. But along with that subscription, I need you to hit that notification bell so you can get all of my videos. Guys, what I do on this platform, what I love to do is to bring people on so they can share their story and give their perspective on various topics. And today it's no different. I have my newfound friend. She goes by I Am Free King on social media, but her name is Free. Free, welcome to Life Coaching by Mel. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well today. Thank you.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. My pleasure. She's on her lunch break, so we're going to rush this. Sorry, I'm just playing. We're going to make sure she gets this in so she can get another bite to eat, whatever she needs to do the rest of her break. But we appreciate you for being here today. We're going to start. I'm going to allow a little space here. I've heard a little bit of your story, and I thought that would be great for our audience to hear. A lot of things I've talked about on this channel so far has been as a divorcee myself that has faced rejection. I have a heart out for those who are divorcees. So I don't want to give it away. You have an amazing story. I would like you to share that yourself. The floor is yours, Free.
Thank you so much, Mel, for connecting with me and inviting me up today. We actually connected on another content creators platform. It was the lead attorney, and
Right.
I had been watching him, and I went up and had some questions about how to pretty much peacefully have my ex-husband removed from the home. And a lot of people go about it in a manner that's detrimental to the man. And I did not want to do that. I just wanted to find some nice ways to have that done. And they did. They tore me up in the comment section. But after I got over the feelings of what people were saying, I understood that, the importance of doing it peacefully so that we could still have a peaceful relationship, because we do have a child. After that, I know you reached out to me. I was in the middle of what I would call a tumultuous divorce. But it all started, and I can sum it up, my whole marriage, divorce, and I feel like I'm at the tail end of my healing process. And I was always his, but he was never really mine. He just wasn't. I'm coming from, the typical single parent household. My parents were married when they had myself and my brothers. They were married young and got divorced. So, I, being a child of divorce, ignored the red flags in our relationship. I did not deal with my rejection and abandonment. Even though I grew up around a really good family and they nurtured us the best they could and they poured into us, kept us in church. I'm gonna be honest, I went to mission meeting, choir practice, choir rehearsal, sung in the choir. We just, we're Southern, we're from Alabama. So they were building that foundation within me. Great grandma and grandma taught me how to cook. Mom taught me how to clean, sew, quilt, all these beautiful things to be a homemaker. And after I graduated college, I was with my ex-husband the whole time, off and on. I went, okay, I've done it all. I've done the school. I've got a good job. Now it's time to get married. And I just ignored all the red flags during that time with him. I accepted a lot of things that were beneath me. And I say that with caution because I did not establish what was beneath me. I did have gentlemen in my life that were pursuing me for a serious romantic relationship and marriage outside of him, especially when we were on our offs instead of the ons. And the way they treated me is how I know that I accepted things beneath what the standard for gentlemen was at that time. Very nice, open doors, um, want to take things slow, don't want to rush it, get to know you, build and establish a life with you. Those were the things that I saw in other gentlemen, but I just ignored the red flags because I haven't faced at that time my healing. I haven't faced the rejection. I didn't face the abandonment. And I drove towards something and someone who I wanted them way more than they wanted me. And if I was healed, or at least on a healing journey at that point in time, I don't believe this would happen. I did have wise counsel. I had friends, I had family, I had everyone telling me maybe you should wait a year. Even after the mother of his two children, one did not live, his oldest son did not live, but the daughter did. The mom called when she was 5 months pregnant, 3 days before our wedding at the officers club at the local Air Force base. We're 15, almost $20,000 into the wedding, just to tell me she's 5 months pregnant. I still ignored it and went forward because I did not value myself, and I wasn't healed on the inside. I was a Christian. I believed in Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, still do, but it had not been activated at the level that it is now within me. And I did not, I, I thought I could, change the situation. Oh, I thought I could win. I'm gonna get him. Yeah, you might be the mother of his first two children, but he's gonna marry me. I I just wanted someone who just was never really mine. And I would say I did make poor decisions based on not being healed from things that I probably could have been healed with if I just paid more attention. I submitted to him again. That's what I was taught. I was taught to be a career woman and a homemaker. I grew up that way. I don't know if people grow up that way now, but I was taught to do both, to balance both, to seek assistance from your husband. If your husband says, "Okay, I want you to, take a part-time job, raise the kids. I don't want you to work." I had all the building blocks and the foundation in order to either have a career or be a homemaker or a blend of the two. And to submit, not in the derogatory sense that people give it now, but to just learn the give and take of submitting and the balance and the peace of the home. And when you submit, in my experience, to someone who is not ready for the responsibility of someone that is willing and able to do that, it just doesn't work. um I just tried the whole marriage to please him. Things constantly adjusted. The support, just no matter what I did, everything became my fault. Whether I helped, whether I didn't help, no, whether my attitude was great, whether I was soft and demure, whether I was kind, and no matter what I did, everything became my fault. And I got angry because I went, someone who loves me wouldn't do this. And I remember a conversation a few years ago. Um, I did try to walk away from the marriage in 2020. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of attorneys during that time, they were not doing divorces unless you were absolutely sure, because the attorneys I went to really felt like it was the pandemic and us being in the house together. And I felt like my voice wasn't being heard when I said, it's more than this. This is a decision that I came to. That's a hard decision. I'm losing myself. I'm losing the essence of who I am. All these beautiful things, the men and women up to my life at this point in time have poured into me. This person is disappearing, and I don't want to lose her. Wasn't able to get a divorce. I told him, and it's like he just doubled down. Things got worse. It became a, how dare you try to leave me? Then it became, he did try to save the marriage in what would be his attempt. We did counseling. It took me a very long time to explain to the counselor and to break through to her, for her to realize you're being charmed by charisma. This is a completely different story. All she saw was my reactions to things going on with him. And it broke my heart because I felt like I did not have a voice. My family was still very supportive, and I have to really give them credit because they never stepped in as far as physically telling me what I should and should not do. They just supported me. They just loved on me when I came home. They constantly pushed for me. Take a break. If you need time away, we'll take care of your son. We'll babysit. They did everything they could, and they allowed me the space to come to it on my own and not make the decision for me, because they knew I have a lot of family members that work in the medical field, the mental health field, and a lot of professional careers. They've seen where people try to leave and don't. So they knew how to support me in a situation where I wanted to leave, but I wasn't sure because I felt like, okay, God, this is a marriage. And he's constantly revealing to me, this is what you wanted. This is not what I wanted you to have. Whenever you're done and you're ready, you'll be fine. You just have to make the decision. And so, shortly after counseling, in 2020, over into 2021, things, they just declined. And so I decided to make a radical move in my career and living situation, because to me, I felt like if I did not move and change jobs, that I would lose who I am completely, and I would not be any good physically, mentally, spiritually to myself, which means I wouldn't be no good to my son, to our son, the gift that he gave us through the marriage. And so when everything settled, I tried very hard, even in counseling. I tried to get and help him understand, you don't need, you don't want me, you don't care for me, you don't. I'm not going to say he didn't love me. I think he loved the idea of me, because once I went through my healing journey, I realized I love the ideas of us, what we could have been, and not the reality of what we were. Um, I started my healing journey in 2020 once I finally went to individual counseling instead of couples counseling. Um, Last year, I can remember him asking me, do I even respect myself, in an argument that we were having? And I don't know how anyone else feels, but we think we respect ourselves. When someone asks you, do you even respect yourself? I had to give a true answer. I said, I don't know. I don't believe so. And he said, you have a real problem if you don't know. And I remember telling him, if I don't, when I learn to, our whole life is going to change. And I don't know if we're going to be together.
Hmm.
And he just, did like he normally does, dismissed it, walked off. And when I finally learned to respect myself and love myself afterwards, and really face, okay, he wants the benefits of this marriage. He does not want you. He does not spend time with you. He does not put any time and finances and protection and anything into the home. He literally comes, and it's a roommate situation, even to the point where I know some women kick their husbands, boyfriends out of the bedroom. I did not. He left on his own over a year and a half before we got divorced. And to me, that was the thing that showed me it's really over. And I didn't base any of my decisions to leave him based on a lot of the superficial things people see in the news, in the media, and in their friend groups, and in families, and just everywhere. Now I based it on, I said I was only going to do this once. I've tried so hard. This person is not mine, and they never was mine. I was always his, but he's really not mine, and he's going to continue to show me this. I have to stop getting angry. I have to stop getting emotional. I have to get to a place of peace with this and let it go, because it has to go in order for me to truly heal, come back to the version of myself that is better at this point in time with these circumstances, in order to live for myself, my purpose that God has put me on this earth for, the people He has put me just in my sphere of the people who I encounter. I have to be some good to them. I have to heal. I have to move forward. No matter how afraid I am, I stopped being ashamed of being a divorcee. I stopped being ashamed of being a single mom, because God provided everything in order for me to not have to worry about life after marriage. So once I got peace with that and accepted it, I I filed for divorce. Now there were some tragic things with health and family members on his side, and sometimes we look into signs and situations when things happen and we go, okay, God, if I just stay a little longer, he is there. There's a really important family member that's ill right now that, I deeply cared for. I should just stay and support him. And I had to make the decision, do I stay and support someone who clearly just does not want anything to do with this, just wants somewhere to come to rest, to recharge after the world has taken from him and he's given of himself to the world, to just basically eat, shower, and leave, just to leave us alone again? Do I support this person even though they're going through a tough time at my own detriment? Or do I say, I'm sorry this is happening, but I have to proceed with the divorce, because if I don't, I'm not gonna be any good use to myself. And so I proceeded. It got very, very ugly. It got worse before it got better. Um, I had to really lean on not really talking in the home, just trying not to trigger him so he wouldn't trigger me, try not to have things happen in front of our son. Several instances happened to where things were said by him that later on, when I could talk to him, I said, this wasn't right. This is going to hurt our son deeply. We have to be careful in this. He just didn't participate. The divorce was reflective of the marriage. He put me through hell in the marriage, and he just was standoffish. He just didn't really participate. And in the divorce, he was not cooperative. He didn't participate. And it pretty much came down to me standing alone, myself. It was three of us in the courtroom, me, the attorney, and the judge, and that was it. He did not want to move out. I was trying my best to be peaceful. He did not want to move out. And I was quiet and I waited. And the day he did move out, it was actually a sick day from work. And I said, hey, you know, when you come home, let's take a text. Can we talk about the resources for you to move out, what you need? I know it's going to take something. I'm not saying leave, you be on the street. Let's figure out what it takes for you to move on, and let's figure out how to make it happen between the two of us. He got upset, he got offended, and he packed all his things and left. And a part of me was like, is that all it took? And another part of me was like, I finally get the clean break. It finally happened. Um, he's on his healing journey. He's actually doing well as far as career, places to live, relationship with our son. I'm I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I wanted very little in the divorce. I wanted less than the state minimum. State of Alabama, um, child support, this, that, and other. I didn't want his retirement. I didn't want any money from him. And I wanted nothing outside of the state mandated child support because I said it's more important for him and me to get along and him to be able to communicate with me, even though we really don't. We communicate through family members. It was more important for me to make sure he has a relationship with his son, our son, because I can't be a father. Our son needs his father. I didn't want to do anything that would disrupt him being a dad. Um, the only reason why we don't communicate is because every time we tried to just coordinate things with our son, it was getting to the point to where the private belittling was happening in front of our son, excuse me. And I did not want our son to see examples of people who could not get along. In the future, are we going to be able to get along, talk, coordinate? Yes. But at this point in time, the emotions are too high on his end. And I couldn't subject my son, our son, to seeing us behave that in that manner. So we have family members on each side for drop off, pick up. We're trying to coordinate as best as possible. I get him to his dad, no matter what, because he needs that time with dad. And I try to teach my son I keep saying I try to teach our son all the time that mommy and dad has to heal. Mom's going to heal. Dad is going to heal. This is not your fault. It has nothing to do with you, but we need to be healed, whole people in order to be the best parents that God wants us to be to you. And so I try not to disrupt his life. I try not to disrupt anything with his father because he needs his father, because I can only be a mom. I can be three things: a woman, I would used to pray, God help me be a woman first, a wife, and a mother. So those were the three things I said I could only be. Um, Now I can just be a woman and a mother to my son. And that's kind of what brings me here today on my healing journey. I do wish him his father the best. Um, Things are pretty good here. My support network, so many people told me they supported me that I didn't know. Um, they, they just were waiting for me to come back to myself. And I've had so many family members, friends go, man, you are back. And I'm like, I'm back. So it's joyous for me to be at the point, and everyone is not gonna have a divorce. Some people are going to make it. I thought I was going to make it, but it got to a point where I had to accept that I was always his, but he was just never mine. And I had to let it go.
Bree, that was so powerful, and I thank you so much for sharing that. I want to say congratulations on your healing and the journey that you're on. You mentioned that you may get a lot of flack for not taking, maybe what was due to you, taking, below what you said, below the minimum.
I took the Alabama minimum
Alabama
for
minimum.
child support.
You're not gonna get a lot of flack from me, and I tell you that right now. You're not, and I'll actually want to salute you for that, because you saw the bigger purpose. And there are instances definitely where the husband, okay, if you're gonna stick it to me, then f you and them kids. It just. But you see the bigger picture, and I really salute you for that. I want to ask you a follow up question, if I may.
Sure.
So you mentioned the rejection you experienced, throughout your upbringing, and then you, in essence, ended up in a situation or a marriage that you were with someone that rejected you, or were with
Yeah.
someone that couldn't commit to you the same way that you committed to them. Tell us a little bit more about how you ended up in that circumstance.
I think it was more of I saw so many people around me growing up with dads, and they were daddy's little girls, and I wasn't. I was until I wasn't. I still believe I am because we reconciled. We reconciled during the marriage. He reconciled with all of us who are his children. I think I just ignored it. Shout out to my big brother, because my big brother was like daddy brother, like, hey, no, look, um, you don't have to put up with it. Like my brother, the day I called the wedding off, I can remember maybe 3 or 4 times in my life that I've ever seen my brother cry, because he's that strong. But he cried, and he always told me, you don't have to accept this. You don't have to accept this. And it was just me fighting against the people who were clearly saying, you're worth more than this. For me, it was maybe a self-esteem and self-worth thing wrapped up in the rejection. I went, okay, well, if daddy doesn't accept me, I'm chasing after all these things and people, places, and things that don't really want me. So in my head, that was the norm. That was okay. Not the gentlemen that were pursuing me, that, you know, getting their masters and teaching. And I had one tell me straight up, like, you and your husband, boyfriend, excuse me, ex-boyfriend. No, I had one guy tell me that at the time it was my boyfriend, not my, you know, fiance or husband. He said, y'all are pathetic. I
Oh,
said, how are we pathetic? He goes, y'all are pathetic. Y'all need to either get it together, get your stuff straight, and get married, or you need to leave him alone and get with someone else. My brain, my rejection, and my abandoned brain went, I need to fix it with my ex. My brain didn't go, this man here that is pursuing you is saying you don't eh, get it together and move on or fix it. And I say that because through conversations, he really took mine and his friendship serious. And this was on a break with my ex-husband while we were dating. This man is talking to me as if he wants a life with me. And my head was so discombobulated with that abandonment and rejection, I didn't even realize that he's showing me how a real gentleman would do things with someone of my substance.
you know.
And they saw me. And it all stems from, okay, my dad didn't see me, so I can't believe these guys over here that's treating me like a lady, because my dad, I was putting it on them. At some point, I told myself in my healing process, it's not my daddy's fault. That's old. That's between daddy and mama. It's my responsibility now to cut my crap out, honor my mother and father. They made the best decision they could at the time. Stop it. Move on. And that's what I did. Um, while I had made some terrible decisions up until that point, I realized I can't blame mom and daddy anymore. Like, these were my choices, and I can't lean on that anymore.
That's so powerful. And you're not alone on that, Free, because I think we all are in pursuit of that acceptance from our father, because our father relationship, earthly father, is in complete, like, aligned with our heavenly father relationship. And in essence, that kind of parallels, how we deal with one another, like how we deal with the father, heavenly father, and the earthly father. So we don't feel
Hmm.
that acceptance from the earthly father. We tend to seek out other measures. I'm talking about male and female. That's the case. So in your situation, it makes complete sense. That you would seek after what seems to be that male presence, or something that it was maybe something enticing about him. That
Hmm.
that just the other guys just wasn't offering. Yeah, they were gentlemen, but they wasn't that. And so that's not something that's unique to you. Definitely for me as well. It was something, until I fixed the relationship with my earthly father, it was hard for me to have full acceptance in several different areas. But it's amazing to see how you have just turned everything and came to that realization, had that revelation of forgiving mom and dad for whatever things they may have done. It takes us some time to be in that situation to
Yeah.
start to
There's a lot of fasting and praying, a lot of laying before God and
Absolutely.
passing out in church service. When I
Absolutely.
was an usher, I was like, if I get full and pass out, I'll get back on my post. Just let me get what I need real quick.
I put my own blanket on me. I put my own blanket on me.
It
So
was it was just it was doing the work with God. It really was. And
that's so awesome.
him constantly reminding me, I think it was a verse in Ezekiel. I have to send it back to you,
Mhm.
but it was talking about God creating, giving you a new heart. And in my lowest places, I would just praise and worship, and I would just talk to God, and I would read that scripture, and I'm like, okay, my heart is completely torn out and broken right now. He promised me He would give me a new heart, and I believe that more now than ever because He did exactly what His word said He would do.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. And speaking of church and church people, I can hear some people in the comment section that God hates divorce and God ain't such and such. She didn't have a reason to divorce. Look.
Well, they also talk about being unequally yoked, and they always talk about perfect will and permissive will. So, I've read it a couple of times in a few different translations, and I don't argue about it. I see their point, but there's a couple of situations where he's like, "You sure you want that? Okay, I will let you have it. That's not what I want you to have, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and have that. I still have what I want for you, but you're just gonna have to go through what you want, and then I'll be able to give you what I want you to have." So yeah, I'm okay with the Bible thumpers. Hey, keep going. We need them to keep folks in check. We need Bible thumpers in check because that makes people go and read it for themselves.
Absolutely.
We
I couldn't agree more. But I try to tell those people myself, God hates divorce, but He loves us. So no matter what, He's a forgiving God. You don't take that and abuse the grace of God. Don't get me wrong, but
right.
the in spite of the decisions that we make, He's there, and that decision sometimes has to compound another bad decision that we made. I'm right there with you. And whenever I was dating my ex-wife, every sign in the world was there. Every sign said, don't do it.
Yeah.
As well as wise counsel, as you mentioned, I just chose to ignore it. So ended in 5 years was not the biggest surprise in the world. It wasn't breaking news to most people. They'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
We almost we almost made it to 10.
Okay.
A really good friend of mine, she said when we actually lost touch because every woman in my life that really had my best interest at heart, it was kind of a character assassination campaign to me on his part to kind of get me away from that. And I can remember one person in particular, we worked with her years ago, and I lost touch with her. And when he told her, kind of bragging, "Hey, I'm marrying free," she goes, "Oh, I've taught her well. Y'all won't make it a year."
Oh wow.
And it stung, and I went, "Oh, she said that." He goes, "Yes, she said that," and and again, this is alleged. And he goes, "Well, no, we're gonna make it many years." And she said, "If you make it one, you might make it to 5 or 6, but you definitely won't make it to 10 because she's gonna get tired of this and she's gonna leave you." And I have to give a call back to her. She was one of the wise counsel people, and she was right. Several people were right. And I think they were older and they had been through relationships and they had the foresight. But me being young and wanted what I wanted, I got that and more.
Wow.
But I'm gonna be honest. I really feel like I would not be able to articulate to other people how you can go through really horrible situations and God keep you and heal you during the situation without taking you out of it. I wouldn't be able to genuinely tell people that and them get it if I didn't go through it.
Absolutely.
Because he's kept me. He
And that's
really did.
that's that
And I was
purpose.
100% faithful, even though he was not. And people in my sphere knew it, saw it, recorded videos, would see him out and about. And when they would see me and him together, I'm like a married side woman. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm the wife. I'm not the side woman, I'm the wife. It just, I've been there, and God will heal you, and he'll take care of you, and he will heal you from it. He will.
Yeah. So I didn't want to speculate, and I appreciate you for saying it. But when you said I was never his, that what you were referring to, infidelity?
No, I just was never his.
Okay.
Uh, like mind, body, heart. Like he had all of me, but something had pieces of him everywhere,
Yeah.
and he just was never mine, even though there was infidelity. Um, and it got to a point I just wanted peace, and I went, don't start an argument so you can leave and go do what you're gonna do anyway. Just say, hey, I'll be back in a little while. That way I feel respected, and I don't have, my emotions aren't discombobulated, and I could be at peace when you leave. But pretty much go cheat in peace and leave me alone.
Said there was pieces of him everywhere, including his penis, huh? I guess that's what it was.
Exactly. And
But
we
yeah,
had, yeah,
just cheat in peace, brother. Go on.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
but yeah, I saw something this morning. We're gonna move on because we had a couple other topics we wanted to
Oh yeah,
talk
sure.
to. But I saw something this morning just to wrap this up that I want to share with you, but also with anyone watching. It's a quote by Dr. Bronner. He's a bishop. All right. It says God generally allows people to reject you for three reasons. Either they are not good for you, they're not good to you, or they are not good for what God is doing in you or has planned for you. When you see that, Free, what comes to mind for
All of them.
you?
At some point in the marriage, all of them, and all of them. Yeah, it is true. It is very true.
I hear you.
Some people might have one, two, a combination, but for me, it was all of them, because the more I ran to just God to heal. And I know how some people, they run to God when things are good. And then they like back out a little bit. They like, I can handle this myself. I'm not necessarily that type of person. It's just close. I get closer and closer and closer, because that's what he instructed us to do. And he blessed me, blessed the people around me. And I just was like, he wouldn't make this heart of mine the way he did if he wants me to stay in this. I'm supposed to be sharing this. I got to get out and get to the people who he's assigned to me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that once again. So, to transition this conversation, I want to ask you on your healing journey, are you dating?
I,
Yeah.
I joke with this. As, as you can see on my social media, I joke about relationships and dating all the time. I do have someone that's shown interest in me. I
Okay.
am interested in him, and it is very slow. And he is, I can honestly say, he is being a gentleman, and he's going, let me drive. And I'm like learning out of my healing journey, because I've had to drive by default. I'm going, yeah, you can drive. So I am going at his pace when it comes to dating,
Nice.
while he gets things established the way he wants them. And I'm learning that it's new, because I have not dated in over 12 years, and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. That's a long time. They're free, but I get it. Life is different. Things are different for sure.
Yes, it
But
is different.
with that in mind, a couple of things have gone viral this week that I would love to have your opinion
Okay.
about. First off, we have this infamous list that some women, not sure who exactly, have put together, uh, letting us know the places they absolutely refuse to go on a first date with.
Hmm.
On We see the list. Everyone know the list. Tell me what is your opinion about this crazy list?
I think I have gone on all of these places, and I enjoy them. Whoever made this list, it has to be someone who is maybe used to a different lifestyle than us regular folks. Maybe they are used to flights and and millionaires. They're not used to the guys that are, again, I dated someone at IT. They're not used to, well, I think I dated way back when two gentlemen in IT. They're not used to dating people who just got their IT degree on their first job, might be making 40,000, 45, trying to get themselves established. Yeah, we're going to get the 2 for 20 at Applebee's with no problem because, and I don't want to spend all my money. Yes, I can, yes, I can go to Fleming's and Connors and all those other nice places, but I don't want to all the time because I have a home and I have bills and stuff. So, and I can cook.
Right.
And I like the fact that the gentleman that I'm seeing now, he always teases me because he's like, "You can't cook." I'm like, "I don't like to fry. I can cook. I don't like to fry." And I like to leave the meat to men because in my upbringing, the men were around the grill and that was their thing.
You're right.
Plus, I don't believe we have to know how to cook everything. That's like a relationship building thing. Let's get in the
Right.
kitchen and cook something. You teach me something, I teach you something. Let's make a memory. So I'm like, that just not reality. So if someone pays attention to that and adheres to it, go for it. But you might miss out on a lot of nice people.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It has to be somebody East Coast or West Coast did. This ain't no Southern thing. I'm just sorry. Like
No,
women,
no.
I've never met a woman in Dallas or Texas, or, anywhere I've gone in the South that thinks this way. I mean, typically Cheesecake Factory. That's yeah, you doing it big on the first day. You go Cheesecake Factory. For
Yes.
that to be number one on the list, that is beyond me.
I've
Uh,
never gone, but
oh yeah,
I think it'll be fine.
it's
I think
amazing.
Cheesecake Factory would just fine for a first date.
Man, second date, Valentine date, whatever, you could.
Yes.
So let me ask you
Applebee's,
this.
Chili's, football game. It's okay.
Right, absolutely. So let me ask you this. If you see a woman that is like, yeah, that's right to this list or happy about this list, would you say that woman is a married-minded woman?
I would one want to look at her lifestyle and a couple of other things before I made my opinion known. But no, I don't think that's a marriage minded person. I think that's someone who is in a situation to take, um, not necessarily in a harmful way, but they might be used to receiving things, and it could come off like they want to take things and use things from gentlemen who are genuinely interested in them.
Yeah, I would have to agree, and I would say it's kind of a warning sign. I did a little video about it. I think guys should be happy about this list because if a woman's happy about this list, that means that she's somebody you should avoid because eventually
Yes,
you're going to be somebody that
it's going to be
can't,
much
can't
worse.
exactly, and you can't live up to that forever. Like if that's her expectation now, what you think her expectation going to be year 10? And eventually you may tap out. I mean, you may get to the point where you can't meet her expectation anymore, and she's going to find a guy who can. If it's
And
always
do not
about,
procreate.
oh
Do
my
not
goodness,
procreate.
please don't. Because that's probably a woman like that. She probably ready to procreate pretty quick, so she can get all your dollars.
An additional check.
she would not
Um,
be
I
taking. She would not be taking that state minimum.
I agree. You bring up a good perspective. I agree. That is a sign to run. That is a sign to run.
Absolutely. but you
Trouble
said
ahead.
absolutely. But you sent me another list that someone responded to this and gave another perspective to the gentleman. What we actually should be doing on the first date. I thought this
Yeah.
was pretty good list. But what was your opinion about it?
After I saw the 2 list, this list, I went, well, obviously, there would be no hope for me to date.
Why would you say that?
Because I'm like, oh, this list just knocks me right off the dating scene in several areas. And then I thought about it. I said, you know what? Good for the men, because most of the time men don't get a chance to express themselves. And maybe a lot of men felt this way and wanted to say it the whole time. But when I looked at both the lists, I honestly, my comment was, everyone would be extinct within 2 generations, because everyone, no one will get together and have children. And, the population would just end, because men and women, or women and women, or men and men, or no one would date, and there would be no more people, because these lists are awful. They are awful.
I mean, I thought the second one you sent me, I thought that was pretty good. Actually, this is things I did on the first date when I was dating. Definitely did with my wife. I think these are kind of basic things, but honestly, a lot of men, because like you mentioned earlier about fatherhood, a lot of men don't have fathers or don't have male figures or anything like that just say, hey man, this is the way you operate when you regarding a woman. Or in my case, my dad was kind of the quiet person in the house. My mom actually would advise certain things, the way I should treat a woman. And I think it gets you pretty good in the door. I'm be honest with you. Like I rarely had bad dates because of how, I treated ladies. And I think that
That's
everything on
a
this list.
good point. That is a very good point, because when I think about your perspective on it, it makes me think of how, depending on the person, and if you speak of being a gentleman, being taught to be a gentleman, us as women, and I could say 100% for myself, you sink down deeper into your femininity around a man like that. And it's not like you don't want to challenge it. It's not, not be me being a pick me or simp or things like that. It's just,
Right.
he got it. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna handle this, because
Oh,
he got it. It forms a bond of trust. And
absolutely.
it just creates something in you that you're like, man, I just want to compliment this. I still got my own things going, but it doesn't bring out those emotions in you that would repel what he's doing.
Yeah.
At least I can speak for myself. I don't feel like I need to repel a man that treats me well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's you spot on with that. I'm not bragging whatsoever, but that's exactly what happened with my wife and I. We were dating. I mean, she's a career woman, doing very well in her field. Uh, you know, she had an amazing high rise apartment, all the different things, and all that just was set down when she met me. It was just like, okay, this is finally somebody I can just rest in and not have to lead the way. This is somebody I can finally say, here, you do this, and that's what I believe women were designed to be. It's a reason why men, we have these broad shoulders and women have, little dainty shoulders. Y'all have beautiful dainty shoulders. Beautiful. No. Well, I'm just saying it's a reason why we're built to carry things, and I think putting that best foot forward, showing her that on date one sets the precedent for how things will go forward. And I agree. I commend this guy. Whoever made this list is amazing. I never really could articulate it, but this is essentially all that I've done on dates. And my wife was a lucky winner. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
They,
I am
they did do a good job.
joking.
I thought I got knocked out of the running, but it sounds like I'm okay.
You good? Because I mean, you kind of described it with the guy you talking to now. He's allowing you to rest a little bit in that. So I think it's on the way to you, free. I think you may be already in it and don't even recognize Well, that's so
Oh,
awesome. So, any other thoughts on
oh,
this, or I can give you the final word overall? I really appreciate you coming on. It's been great, been amazing. Love your story. It's been cool to finally get to know you, get to talk to you. But any last words you may have, feel free.
my last words would be one, thank you for connecting with me and inviting me on. I definitely will expand on our conversation in other ways.
Yeah.
When I finished my last little stages of my healing journey, but just trust the process that God has you in, especially with the healing portion of divorce, and be okay with facing rejection and healing from it, and just not losing the essence of who God has created you to be within your heart. And He definitely will give you a new heart if you feel like it's gone, because I can say that He did that for me.
That's so awesome. Bree, thank you so much for joining me during your break time. Hope you can get a little something in before you go back. But thank you so much. It's beautiful talking to you. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you so much.
Let's go.